I'm in what might appear to be a shady location in Brisbane's underbelly. Well, actually, it's a really cool coffee shop called Brew. I'm with a gentleman from the Queensland Police Service, which is kind of like the Queensland Police Force, but a lot nicer sounding because it's a service.
Correct.
James Kliemt. Kliemt. It's German, and I struggle with some German sometimes.
I'm not really hung up on it, so your best effort is great.
Excellent. Now, James here has just wowed us at the Interactive Minds breakfast, where he talked about everything that the Queensland Police Service is doing from a digital strategy perspective, because James here is the boss of digital strategy for the Queensland Police Service. Now, just to give this guy some credit here, the Queensland Police Service is the eighth largest social media. No, has the eighth largest Facebook fan page of all the government organisations in the world, right? So the number one is
the US Army, I think.
US Army.
I don't really follow the charts,
and NASA would be up there, and some other ones. And the Queensland Police Service is number 8. And the reason why is because over the last 6 months, you've been doing a couple of years actually, you've been doing some amazing stuff. What would be some of the highlights?
Well, obviously the biggest event we were involved with was the floods in. Look at the camera in 2011. There's almost been too many to mention though. There's the ride that we have gone on and the cultural change within the organisation in that time has just been massive. So I don't know if I can spew forth facts. Particular moments, there's lots of the big news moments that have happened in Queensland we've been really involved in. So.
And one of the interesting things is we're talking about a traditionally conservative organisation. It's a police force.
Very traditional.
How did you get the buy-in?
That's an interesting question. It took a long time. We had the right people in the right place. My boss, Kim Charlton, loved her social media. And was keen to incorporate it into the police, but not quite sure how to do it. And I had the technical background, and she had the authority within the organisation and the trust within the organisation. Started out very, very small. Our social media is still actually officially a trial. We're still not even in the official mode yet. And we just started very, very small, as you do on Facebook, I suppose, and put a few test posts out there and put a few more. We've never actually advertised the fact that we have the page or anything like that up until quite recently.
But you seem to have a small army of people contributing with comments.
Yeah, what we did, we integrated into our normal processes. We've got a 24/7 media team, fortunately, who are always responding to the media questions about issues that are going on. And so we could just gradually move some social media into their workflows and slowly teach them how all of that works and slowly teach them the culture and the technical side of all of that. And we did that for about 6 months before the floods actually happened, so it was perfect timing. So we had this force of people ready for this event that we built up over all that time, because before then they were just media people. They knew nothing about social media.
Because earlier today I saw the chart and you'd gone from 0 to 8,000 over a certain period of time, and then it just went woof, and then went woof, and
it
woof.
just goes vertical.
And now how many fans have you got?
It's 273,000.
273,000. What was the major cause for those specific jumps?
Well, the main one was the floods in January 2011. That was 150,000 followers in 3 days, which going from a little page of 6,000 to that was a fairly intense experience. But then we've added another over 100,000 since then.
But to really simplify it, you'd say that the reason is content.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said earlier today, we're a bit different than a lot of organisations in that we've got such a content-rich environment. We're a 24/7 news service, basically, for the state, but we're avoiding the traditional media. Well, we're not avoiding the traditional media. We're speaking directly to them as well and to people, so they can get their news from the official, credible source straight away.
Because there's a couple of things I like about it. One, you'll talk about something serious, something people need to stay off a highway or something terrible's happening, and then the next thing you'll be talking about how some ducks have obstructed traffic.
Yeah, the duck story. Everyone loves the duck story. Yeah, and that again took time to develop that. The understanding of how that sort of dynamic was going to work, and it does look very odd when you see on a page some incredibly serious things about people's lives, and then right next to it is a funny photo about something that's happened on the road or something like that. And how that dynamic I find fascinating of how that works, that we can be so incredibly serious and official 1 minute, and then the next minute launch into something else that's very social media, classic social media engagement, and that our audience just follows us completely with that.
Well, it's giving the consumers credit for being intelligent, sensible human beings, and mature, understanding, thoughtful people.
Yeah, we always treat, rather than what we see in a lot of government organisations, is they try and mechanise their social media in terms of how they think about it and their approach to it. We just approach it as people. We fundamentally, if we have an emotional reaction to something, we'll go with it. We won't sit there and think, now what's the... We have to at some point, but we won't. Our first thoughts won't be, what's the policy about this? How do we make this into a machine that ticks all the boxes? We'll find things that move us and try and push those out and try and leverage those to engage the audience.
The other thing that I love when you were talking this morning is these situations where you might have a major news brand that somehow dramatises or glorifies or just communicates inaccurate information. And 3 years ago, you just have to bite your lip and wear it.
Yeah, I say to organisations, government organisations in particular, your media strategy, your classic media strategy, is to put out a press release and hope that the media go nicely on you. And that's it. You're just this completely passive creature that's hoping that the big bad media don't take you down. Whereas our media strategy is, if they're going to talk, if someone's going to talk rubbish about something, we will take them on publicly and tell our story. And we're more than happy for them to take us on. And sometimes we deserve a kick up the bum, and sometimes we don't. And when we don't, we will return serve and clearly give our message to a huge number of people out there what the real facts are.
Because when I talk about social media and anything like this, people say, should we be on Twitter or should we be on Facebook? I usually say, well, is it going to make you money or is it going to save you money? Now, you're not in a position to make money, but surely this has saved the Queensland Police Service
massively. Yeah,
massively.
There's no way we could. I'd be terrified at the thought of what the budget would have to be for us to do this in a traditional media model. How many zeros would that have on the end? You'd probably know better than I would, but it would just be phenomenal. And to get the amount of buy-in that we have from the public compared to where we were, and the public's perceptions of us have changed so much. To do that in a money sense would just be almost impossible.
Because we've gone from little things like there's a mattress on the road, stay clear of this freeway, which you can now get out there easily, to there's a massive flood happening right now, stay away from this particular area.
Yeah.
And the cost of communicating that,
around the world,
years ago, would have been amazing.
And the cost and the speed and all these things that we can never, we can have a police officer in a certain location who's an expert in that location and what the floodwater is going to do there and how that's going to pan out, and we can get that information directly from him and directly to the people in just lightning sort of speed.
And I do wonder when there's things like we had the Mary's the Black Saturday fires in Melbourne in Marysville,
absolutely.
and how things would have been different if we were more mobilised back then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would have been a completely different scenario.
Those sort of events have been the progenitors of what we've done here. Certainly looking at things, we'll always talk about the Mumbai bombings and things like that, where you looked at, and particularly as social media has been growing, and you looked at the negative things that can happen with people posting false information and no source of truth for that. So we realised there was a space there that we could take on, and we could be the single source of truth for this information. And the reaction from the public just spoke volumes.
Because I saw someone said a dam was going to break, and you had Mythbuster said the dam is not coming down.
Yeah, and instantly the public believed us. Instantly the public, bought into that, and there was obviously such a yearning from people for this official source of information. I think that's also interesting, the way that people have a complicated relationship with the media, and they'll instantly believe a lot of what the media says, but they're also very reticent about it. You see all those polls about how low the media is ranked in people's opinions. And
except
things like
Antill.
Well, of course, obviously. But we can be very dry and very not pretty. Like the media will do sensational stories, and we're very much we'll do funny stories about things that are not as important, but the serious stuff we're very dry and very facts-based. But people respond to that because they don't want the spin, they just want the truth, and that seems to be a thing they really relate to strongly.
Some interesting lessons here. One, content is king. If you've got great content, people will like you, they will follow you, they will communicate. Don't treat your customers, your target market, your Facebook fans, your social media people as dummies. They understand what you're doing and they're mature. Thirdly, social media is to make you money or it needs to save you money. In an example here, we've got something that is not only saving money, it's saving lives, and it's making a tremendous difference. Thank you, James. I really look forward to seeing how other public services embrace the sorts of things that you're doing in Queensland. Let's see how they do over the next couple of months, couple of years. They're coming in. They're coming.
They are buying in.
Rock and roll.
It's excellent.
Signing off.